Lando Norris out-duels Oscar Piastri for the first time this year. He truly out-duels Oscar Piastri. Going into the summer break, you couldn't have asked for better timing out of Lando Norris. I'm Dylan Hilder. This is the Dylan Hilder Show. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. You know that. So, let's dive into this. So, Oscar and Charles Leclerc, they go with the traditional two-stop strategy at Hungary. It was the one that I thought was going to be the best strategy. But the temperature just it stayed low enough to where a one-stop was conceivable, and that is exactly what Lando did. Lando went with the one-stop, he stuck with it, and in the end, he got rewarded for it to a degree. He did get rewarded for it, but that's something that we're going to talk about in a minute. And now the gap between Oscar and Lando in the Drivers' World Championship now sits at 9 points. 9 points separate Lando and Oscar for the World Championship. Now, there is another thing that we saw that we haven't really seen from Oscar this year. For the first time this year, in a title fight, we saw Oscar make a massive mistake that ultimately costed him the race. That lockup going into one, that late lunge, that was the fatal, boneheaded mistake, the desperation mistake that you really don't expect out of somebody like Oscar Piastri, who up to this point has been calm, he's been cool, he's been collective, and he has been the Iceman. He has been, I'm gonna give him Kimi Räikkönen's nickname, the Iceman. That is exactly what he's been all year. Now, Silverstone, I gotta give him a pass on that. He got hosed by the FIA. He got worked. But here, this was all Oscar. Oscar made that critical error, and he made that mistake, and it was all entirely on him. He made the decision for the late lunge, forcing him to lock up, nearly taking out his teammate in the process. That is on Oscar. And you just can't, if you are a championship level driver, you cannot be making that mistake. Obviously, he's got the cushion to make that mistake. He still has the lead. He can still afford to finish second in the Netherlands. I think the Netherlands is the first race back. He can still finish second, still hold the lead, and be just fine. So he has definitely built up that ability to make that mistake. But nonetheless, the mistake was made, and now the gap gets closed. The gap closes. 9 points is the difference between Lando and Oscar, and we'll see how Oscar recovers. Oscar did qualify better. Oscar had the pace, but Lando was able to manage the tires and get the absolute most when he needed it most. And so for that, congratulations, Lando Norris. You're winner of the 2025 Hungarian Grand Prix, where the first inkling of the McLaren Civil War began. As I mentioned in the preview, this was the one where Lando got the favorable strategy, so he could cover off Lewis Hamilton. In that, Lando was able to undercut Oscar, and McLaren made him switch back. Quite stupidly, I would say, but it is what it is. But Lando got his payback. So, and then you have Russell rounding out the podium. He was able to get past Charles Leclerc, who, God, he just had a horrible, horrible day. I feel absolutely terrible for Charles Leclerc. It from the way it sounds, Leclerc wanted to do the one stop. Ferrari just didn't have the Canucks to do it, and I do believe Lewis was on did the two stops as well. You just didn't have the Canucks to try something different, and I mean, you. I'm gonna take a quote from Richard Childress, uh, owner in NASCAR. For those who don't know, 6-time Cup Series champion owner. If you follow the leader, that's all you're gonna do, all the way to the checkered. And this race is an absolute perfect example of it. Lando Norris, he went with the alternative strategy. He made it work, and he gets to celebrate. Leclerc, that car was so bad towards the end. It didn't matter what strategy he was going to be doing. It just wasn't going to be able to hold off the McLarens. Now, I do believe if he did go with a one stopper, he would have been able to. I don't think Russell would have had enough time to run him down, but he did. And then Russell made a good qualifying, good finish. He gets the podium. And I mean, it just with Ferrari, it's just so funny. I mean, this is the whole this is the most Ferrari race. You get outsmarted and then you get outraced. I mean, Lewis Hamilton, he finished like 12th. That was it. It was a day of promise for Ferrari that ended. I mean, fourth place is very good for Ferrari right now, but it did not meet the expectations that you would expect out of a Charles Leclerc pole. And then you have the absolute total 100% disaster area. As I predicted in my preview, the Red Bulls struggle mightily. I think Max ended up finishing 9th, 8th, 9th, somewhere in there. I don't have the computer in front of me. The studio is under construction. So that's why you got the weird setup here. But nonetheless, this has been this as I expected. It was an utter disaster. Max looked like he was going to be able to turn chicken salad out of chicken shit, and then he just couldn't get around Bortoleto, who couldn't get around Fernando, and it just spiraled from there. And we're also waiting for a potential penalty from the FIA after he and Lewis got into a little bit of a dust up. So we'll see how it all shakes out. Either way, it's been a absolute disastrous weekend, and Max is going to get a few weeks to cool down, and then he's going to be able, and then he gets to go back home to the Netherlands, which Lando won there last year. But that will be for then. This is for now. Yeah, I mean it is the weekend that I expected Red Bull to have, no doubt about it. Just Yuki finished way behind. I think in the lower teens somewhere. It was a disaster area. And then you had the bright spots. You have Fernando finishing well in the points, Bortoleto finishing well in the points. Great day for those two. Uh, they really needed those. So, well, yeah, great weekend for Bortoleto and Fernando Alonso. Alonso kind of playing the mentor to Bortoleto, and it really showed this weekend. So, very good showing from them, and I think that's all I have for this. So, trying to think. Is there anything else I wanted to touch on? I don't think so. So, congrats to Lando Norris. He had that. We have finally seen a championship drive out of Lando Norris, and he is your 2025 Hungarian Grand Prix winner. Congrats, Lando. And we'll see you in the next one.